You're listening to Talk LFC Podcast, an independent podcast for Reds by Reds. Be sure to hit that follow button.
Hello and welcome to Talk LFC Podcast. My name is John Rainey. Apologies, we haven't been podcasting in recent weeks, or at least we haven't been as active as we used to be. I'm having some major issues. All the podcasts are done through my computer, and unfortunately I'm having some internet issues at the moment, which means that I can't connect, and none of the guys can connect to come in and chat live with me. So what we've been doing is anyone we have done, we've recorded offline and uploaded afterwards, and the same is the situation with this one. Now, hopefully, once these issues get sorted this week, we should be back to normal. So what we've done this evening is basically I'm doing my review of the match. We're going to listen to Jurgen Klopp's press conference, and then Sean has pre-recorded his review of the match, which he sent on to me, and I'm going to also play. Today is January 28th, and Liverpool took on Wolverhampton Wanderers in the fourth round of the FA Cup. And basically, we went out of our second cup in a matter of days after losing to Southampton in the second leg of the EFL Cup on Wednesday. We lost again to Wolverhampton Wanderers today by 2-1. Goals from Richard Searman in the first minute and Andreas Wyman in the 41st minute were enough to see off. Of course, Divock Origi got a consolation goal in the 86th minute, but the two first half goals from Richard Searman and Andreas Wyman were enough to see Wolverhampton Wanderers prevail. Now, that was Richard Searman's first goal in any competition since April 2014. That's 1,013 days ago, so that'll just tell you how poor our defence is when a man who hasn't scored in almost 3 years can score a goal against us. On the other hand, though, Andreas Wyman, he scored in 3 of his past 4 appearances at Anfield, 2 for Aston Villa and 1 for Wolves today. So definitely contrasting stories there in terms of their goal scorers. But look, again, we've been exposed. Our frailties have been exposed from set pieces and on the counter attack. And I think definitely the antidote to gegenpressing has well and truly been discovered at this point. Because if you look at the teams that beat Liverpool this season, they've all done the exact same thing. They've set up with an organised defence and they've hit us on the counter attack. They've frustrated us and they played us at our own game. The likes of Burnley, the likes of Swansea, Southampton did it to us, and now Wolves did it to us again today. So that equates to 3 defeats in the last 3 games for Liverpool. So, and all 3 have basically been carbon copies of one another. Now, yes, we did field weakened team today, which I think is unfair. I think today's result is going to do more harm than good in terms of the young squad that was fielded. We'll just go through the lineup, and I suppose I can do match ratings as we discuss them. In goal, we had Loris Karius. Apologies, my phone is making noise here if you can hear it. Loris Karius in goal. James Pearce from the Liverpool Echo was blaming him for the first goal. I don't think he was the only one to blame for it. He didn't move from his line, but there was quite a lot of activity along the line. It was a corner kick. He basically stood planted on his line, and Richard Searman was able to sneak in at the back post and just head pretty much a free header. So, I don't just blame the goalkeeper in that situation. Nobody picked him up. He was allowed to run free, so he was unmarked. For the second goal, was he at fault? There's two ways of thinking at that. A lot of people are saying the goalkeeper should come out and should go to ground as soon as, and try and take the ball from the defender. But then you have the other people that say, well, if he goes to ground, you run the risk of conceding a penalty. But look, he kind of closed the angles down. He made it difficult for him to shoot. Unfortunately, he did go to ground, which meant that, and I've seen somebody else commented to say that Wyman, all he had to do was like he was going round a training bollard. All he had to do was bring the ball around Karius, who had committed at that point, um, and just tap the ball into the back of the net. Now, the damage was done before that. We were very, very slow in response to that attack. You had a situation where I think it was Costa, excuse me, who played the ball through to Andreas Weinmann. But they had a free run at defence in one of the counter attacks, and our defence was so slow to get back. We had a central defender in Lucas Leiva who basically had to run the entire length of the pitch and try to get back. The only one who did have half a chance of getting back was Alberto Moreno, and he did put in a tackle, but unfortunately it was slightly late, and Costa had already basically moved away out of range of the tackle by the time it got there. So, but Costa played the ball to Weinmann, and Weinmann just rounded the goalkeeper and popped it away. That was in the 41st minute. But look at, we were the architects of our own destruction today. We had a young Conor Randall in playing at right back. This Conor Randall has had very little first team football. It's very unfair, and as I mentioned earlier, it's very unfair to criticise young kids. Like, this could have long-term damage. These type of games, losing these type of games have a massive effect on these kids, more so than experienced pros, who maybe are around in the game a little bit longer. I think it's very fair to criticise, and certainly social media has exploded today with criticism for both the team, the fans, and fucking madly enough, Jurgen Klopp. Now, Jurgen Klopp has taken responsibility for picking the team, and rightly so. The buck stops on him for picking the team. But the fucking idiots that are calling for Jurgen Klopp's resignation or for him to be fired, I'm sorry, but just get a fucking life, will you? Jesus Christ. It's ridiculous that anybody will be calling for Jurgen Klopp to be sacked as a manager. He's a world-class manager, and he does need time. You look at our position. We're currently in third place in the league and only a second season in charge. That's some distance from what we were at. So cop the fuck on. Today a lot of people criticised Klopp for picking a young team, and I suppose we'll go through and complete the review on the team, and then we can kind of pick the bones out of it. Conor Randall was replaced at half time by Philip Coutinho. He had a bit of a nightmare. In my opinion, Conor Randall isn't certainly anywhere near the quality to be in the first team. He's a long time at the club. He's been given plenty of opportunity. He's not up to the standard, and he proved it today. He's a championship defender at best. I'll probably get a lot of shit for saying that, but I think he's had opportunity and ample opportunity to prove himself, and he still hasn't taken that opportunity. So I think I wouldn't be upset if that was Randall's last appearance in a red shirt. Anyways, Joe Gomez, another young lad, 19-year-old, just back from injury, got a fair bit of criticism today, but he hasn't played much first team football since arriving at Liverpool. He's played quite a bit in the under 23s, but it's a different pace, it's a different quality of opposition, and today he struggled quite a bit. Didn't have the best game, but he wasn't our worst player on the pitch by any stretch of the imagination. Ragnar Klavan was very anonymous today, is the word I would look for. He didn't do a lot. He was poor, to be quite fair. Alberto Moreno I wouldn't be a huge fan of. As I said before, he's not a left back, he's a left wing player, and it's pretty obvious. All you have to do is look at the starting position, and that was evident today in their second goal, because he was so far up the pitch at the counter attack. He was nearly, he has so much to do to try and get back and recover for the counter attack that he doesn't have the pace to do it. He's a very, very limited player. He's certainly not of the quality or standard that Liverpool should be fielding. I have no time whatsoever for him. I can't understand why he's still at the club. But anyways, look, that's another story. But he wasn't the worst player on the pitch either today. He was okay. He was average. Ovi Ajaria, another young lad, 19 years of age, thrown in at the deep end today in the midfield. He struggled at times. His passing wasn't the greatest at times, but you certainly can't question his commitment. He was one of the brighter players on the pitch. Um, he wasn't our worst player by any stretch of the imagination. At least he showed a bit of passion, a bit of commitment, and he was trying things, and he certainly gave everything that he had up until he was substituted in the 74th minute by Emre Can. Again, Lucas, I mentioned already, thrown in as a makeshift centre back. We have a £20 million defender, or sorry, probably more, but that's his value in Mamadou Sakho, sitting on the bench, taking quite a large wage, and we are throwing in Lucas as a centre back. He's not a centre back, and as I mentioned already, he didn't have the pace to get back today in the counter attack for Andreas Wyman's and Wolves' second goal. So asking Lucas to perform that duty, I think, is asking a lot. He doesn't have the legs, and by the way, Lucas is our leading goal scorer in the FA Cup this year. That just speaks volumes. But anyways, next up is Gini Wijnaldum. Today, I think, was one of his worst performances in a Liverpool shirt. I thought he was completely and utterly anonymous today. He had no creativity. His passing was negative. He gave the ball away quite a bit. Very, very poor. And he looked like a player that left the Championship side to join Liverpool today, and that's probably the first time that I could actually say that about Gini Wijnaldum, because up until this point I never questioned his work rate, and in actual fact I was one of the ones that would always say that he did a lot of work in the background, he controlled play and whatever, but today he wasn't. He was completely and utterly anonymous today. Ben Woodburn, the only positive you can take from today's game. He was active throughout the game, completely up and down the right wing. When we switched from a back four to a back three, he slotted in as a wing back, and he was absolutely immense. Taking on players, creating opportunities. He was fantastic today. He gave 150% today. That's something you cannot question. He was the best player on the pitch by a mile. As I mentioned earlier on, Randall at right back was replaced at half-time by Philip Coutinho. Coutinho did his best, to be honest with you, for the second half. He tried to create, but we came up against a wall of Wolverhampton, two banks of four. So it was very, very difficult to break them down. Divock Origi, again, very poor. No final ball. His anticipation was poor today. Yes, he scored the goal, but he was in the right place at the right time. Previous to that, he had been very poor. He did score the 86th minute goal, and he almost scored a second goal in the dying seconds, only for it to be cleared off the line. But there are two moments you could pick out of the 94 minutes where he was actually effective. Previous to that, he was completely ineffective. Our other starter, the final starter, was Roberto Firmino. Again, thrown out on the right wing, a position that he has proved that he's not. He's more effective in the middle, and he's certainly more effective when it comes to linking up with Philip Coutinho. So he was replaced in the 65th minute by Daniel Sturridge. I couldn't understand that substitution. I really couldn't. I would have preferred to have seen Origi go off and see Sturridge come on and replace him. Whatever chance we had of scoring a goal with Firmino, we had none with Sturridge. Again, Sturridge was thrown out in the right wing. You could see him today. Anytime there was a 50-50 ball, he lost it. There were a couple of tackles that went in today, and you could see he didn't go into the tackles at all. He didn't commit whatsoever. He was very poor. He's not the answer. Certainly, I wouldn't have had him replacing Firmino. I would have put Firmino into the middle and played Ben Woodburn as a more advanced. He did well on the right wing, Woodburn. So, putting Sturridge in there, I think, was a joke. As I said, substitutes. Coutinho came on the 45th minute. He did his best. He did affect the game from the minute he came on the pitch. We certainly looked more of a threat when he came on. considering that it took us 59 minutes to register a shot on target. And that actually came from Philip Coutinho. And it called for a relatively simple save from their 20-year-old goalkeeper, Harry Burgoyne, I think his name is, who, I might add, was only making his third senior appearance. So, I'm sure that'll fill Wolverhampton Wanderers youngsters with plenty of confidence, especially that young lad. I couldn't believe it when the commentator said he was only 20. He looked older than me, But that's what I'm saying. It took 59 minutes for us to register a shot on target, which I think is unacceptable. For a team that creates the amount of chances that we create, all we did all day was pass the ball back and forth. We looked like a team who were 2-0 up and not a team that were 2-0 down. At a lot, throughout a lot of the match. And Wolves could have scored more. Later on, they had an opportunity as well, another counter-attack. It's ridiculous. Like Wolves manager Paul Lambert admitted during his interview that his team were running on empty for the remaining minutes of the tie, for the last 5 or 10 minutes. Yet they still found enough in the tank to create late chances, one of them which nearly led to a goal. That's the result, and that's a testament to the commitment that they gave throughout the 90 minutes. They chased and harried and gave everything that they had during that match. They deserved the result. In fairness, they did. They deserved the 2-1 victory. They defended in numbers all day long. They were very disciplined at the back, and they ran all day. And that now means that Liverpool have just won 1 game in 8 in January for the first time since 2012, and we've now lost 3 in a row at Anfield. That's pretty poor, if you ask me. And that's the first time that's happened since 2012. I think it was Brendan Rodgers was in charge back then. I forget who it was now. I should have my homework done on this, but I think Chelsea were one of them, and there was a Europa League game. Was it Chelsea, Leicester, and I forget now. It's not important anyways. But just looking at some of the stats from today, we had 79% of the possession today, and in actual fact, if you want to be precise on it, we had 79.5% of the possession today. And what did we do with it? Absolutely nothing. We had 20 shots. Of those, we had 5 on target. Wolverhampton Wanderers had a better return. They had 7 shots, 3 of which on target, and 2 of which resulted in goals. Their third shot on target was saved by Karius. We had 7 corners compared to their 4. We committed only 7 fouls compared to their 13. Now you could see a lot of those fouls were given away towards the end of the match as well. There were a lot of last-ditch tackles. There were a couple of claims for penalty shouts and things like that. But their first goal supposedly was offside. From the free kick. And a lot of people are blaming referees again. But come on, in fairness, it was us that lost that game, not the referee. Can't be relying on the referee to be giving stuff. It was a borderline call on the offside anyways. It was only kind of during the replay when it was frozen, you could see that, they were marginally offside. But that's very hard to pick up. If you need the assistance of a replay to see if somebody is offside, well then how are you expected to catch it in real time? But as I mentioned, Jurgen Klopp was very accepting of the blame in his press conference, and I'm going to play that now.
Jurgen, just how disappointing was that?
Very. Again, I think cup games like this are always difficult. So in our situation, of course, after losing 2 games, not full of confidence, not flying through the league, whatever. Made a lot of changes, of course, most of them because we couldn't do it differently, but a few because we wanted. And then the start in the game doesn't make it easier. So free kick after 1 minute, goal, let them fly. It makes everything easier for them and makes everything more difficult for us. So that's why you should avoid a start like this. But then it's still actually 90, 93, 94, 95 minutes to go. First half, too static against, deep defending side, right, but too static, not fluent enough, all that stuff. It's a little bit to explain, didn't play too often together, but of course could have been already better, should have been already better. Second half, it was better. We could have scored a few times, they could have scored another minimum one very big chance they had. So even when we score then 3 times, 4 times and win maybe 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, doesn't make the performance much better. But of course it would have been nice to score these 1-2 goals more because it feels differently. And so I am responsible for, and I feel really responsible for this performance because I thought we could do better. And obviously we couldn't. And now we have to think about this, not too long. But we have to think about this, and you learn always about situations, players, all that stuff in all games. And so it's an important game today for us, and obviously we couldn't deliver.
How important, so how difficult a test is this for you now as manager to try and build everybody's confidence up again and try and get the team back into a winning?
I don't know if it's that difficult. Of course, it depends. Obviously, look, we spoke about confidence, I think, a few months ago, and I said it's a little flower or something. If something up, bounce on it or whatever, then it's away. Obviously, that happened kind of, but it's not that we play without confidence. You can see a lot of moments that we are really still believe in our skills and all that stuff. So we don't have to make it too big, but it's not that difficult. It's not that I say it's no chance until Tuesday to make a real turn. If somebody asked me a second ago if this is the lowest bottom of, lowest point of my Liverpool time until now, I don't know. But if it is, then it's a perfect point to turn, because it's not possible to go lower. And that's all what we have to think about now. It's not that hard, but it feels in this moment. That's absolutely right that it feels bad, and we have to use it. But in this moment, I think it's not the right time to talk too much about being positive and staying optimistic. No doubt from tomorrow on we will be, but in this moment we feel really bad.
Jürgen, you've got a lot of faith and confidence in your squad here. You've always said that. Do you feel a little bit let down in how they performed today, or do you think it was just unfair there were so many new players together?
Yes. No. So I don't feel that they let me down or something. I said I'm responsible for the lineup, and I saw them training, and I thought that's the lineup. Again, we could talk about, and maybe do it tomorrow. Tomorrow press conference again? Monday. Oh, another day. We can talk about who can play, who cannot play, because today not a lot of the players who are not involved could play. So that's the thing. But no, would not be fair from my side. So again, I said, and that's what I mean, I'm responsible for the bad things and also for the good things. And today it was obviously not good. So that's my responsibility. We could have played better. Each boy could have played better. I know this. And how I said, of course, you learn always a little bit about, for each single performance, maybe there is an explanation. Not sure that we should look for it. I'm never too harsh in criticism or something like this, and especially you should not be emotional in the moment when you make the criticism. That makes no sense. So, but of course, one point I will watch the game again, and then I will know a little bit more about it. But now, from tomorrow on, we have to prepare the Chelsea game, and it's not for this. The game in the detail is not too important for it. It will be in a few parts actually a similar game. Huh? So it's not that it's completely different, but of course the opponent has the highest quality in the Premier League, so that will not be an easy job. But hopefully, until Tuesday, we all can recover, and the crowd can recover, and can looking forward to the game. So because that would really make sense. It's a home game against the leader of the league. So we need everybody for this game. But how I said, we talked on Monday about this. Now recovery.
You've said quite a few times, you haven't shown that the squad just isn't, the quality in the whole squad's just not there to sustain 3 competitions there's been this season?
I don't think it's the right moment, but that's how it is. Look, again, if we played already wonderful football with this squad in this season, and we can say, you know, from a specific point on, it was a little bit more difficult because injury here, injury there. But we did really well still. It was quite intense. We played as a championship team, Derby, I think. We played at Derby in Capital One Cup, right? So they had not a percentage of a chance. So only it's not years ago. It's only a few weeks ago you saw them playing yesterday, and now all that stuff. So of course it's like having a flow and having not a flow, but it's not right to judge, even in a very bad moment, to judge people. So how I said, my responsibility and faith is nothing. You can today have faith and tomorrow you don't have, and all that stuff. We spoke about a year, and we said about the transfer window. Probably that's the next question. It's not about not wanting. It's about not getting the right players. So, and then we cannot only take a player that we have one. That makes no sense. And for this, we have to go through situations like this. And even in the history of Liverpool, probably better sides lost against worse sides. That's football. I don't like it to say like this, but it's true. It's true. And so that's not. I don't start doubting decisions are because it makes no sense. It makes no sense. We know what we have to change. Only we have to show it. So we are on it, and we know about it, and we will work on it. But it's not. I cannot explain every single thing of today. Of course not. And I don't look for excuses. Whatever you write is absolutely okay. Whatever you say is absolutely okay. Only I cannot change after a worse or a better performance and say now he's world class and now we cannot use him. It's my responsibility to pick them in the right moment as often as I can. Sometimes I have the free choice, sometimes I have to, but still my responsibility.
Final ones in the open, guys.
Can I, Jürgen, just very quickly, are you expecting Sacco to be here this time next week after the window? What's the latest on him?
No news. No news. That's all.
Do you expect him to be here next week? Or?
No news. I have no idea in this moment. So I was involved in preparing the games even when nobody saw it, but I still did the job, and that's nothing else to say about it.
Okay, that was Jurgen Klopp's press conference. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of people pointing the finger at Jurgen Klopp. You get the usual numpties on Twitter and what have you after football matches blaming people, and there was an idiot who rang into BBC Radio 5 Live last week saying that Klopp should be sacked as a manager. That guy, and I've highlighted this on a couple of occasions, I can't even remember, and I'm not going to give him the fucking satisfaction of giving out any details or giving him too much airtime, but basically he was talking about Liverpool, and apparently he's known for ringing in. I have my suspicions about this guy, because if you heard the way he talked about Liverpool, he talked about Liverpool in the third party, called Liverpool they. So if you're a Liverpool fan, certainly anytime I'm talking about a Liverpool fan, I either use the word Liverpool or us or we. I never use the word they. I never say, when I'm talking about Liverpool, oh, they need to do this and they need to do that. My opinion on it is that if I'm talking about Liverpool, I say we need to sign. Like, you don't go out and say, oh yeah, they need to sign players in January. If you hear somebody saying they need to sign players in January, what you're hearing is somebody who doesn't support Liverpool discussing about them and giving their opinion as a third party. And that's the way this guy was, if you listen very closely to him. So the guy's a fucking idiot as far as I'm concerned. And he's only ringing up just to rise Liverpool fans, and of course we rose to it. But this guy's not a Liverpool fan. And any numpty who's calling for Jurgen Klopp's head at this point, cop on. The problem is not Jurgen Klopp. The problem is we've known that Sadio Mane has been going to the African Cup of Nations. We've known that since last July, and we've done nothing about it. We haven't replaced him. We've had opportunity to replace him not replace him, but certainly get in some cover in January, and we've done nothing about it. With 3 days left in the transfer window as I speak now, transfer window closes on Tuesday. we're coming into one of the biggest games of our season, and certainly one that will define our season against Chelsea on Tuesday night. If we don't beat Chelsea on Tuesday night, we can probably kiss goodbye to a top 4 position. We have games coming up against Spurs and Arsenal as well in the coming weeks. They're 3 games that are going to define our season. So, it's time to buy players. And I think you can read between the lines of a lot of what Jurgen Klopp is saying. He says that it's not that they haven't tried to buy players. It's just that the players, the clubs don't want to sell. Look at money talks. If you want a player bad enough, you fucking spend the money. And I'm not blaming Klopp for this. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, Klopp buys on the cheap and does X, Y, and Z." Yes, he did that at Dortmund because he didn't have the money. That was the way he operated. He did the same at Mainz because, again, they were on a limited budget. What he did was he created players, he discovered talent, and he brought them through. We're in a situation now where we're challenging for the league title. If we want to mount a serious challenge, we have to strengthen. It's obvious to everybody where our weaknesses lie. We have a poor defence, and we have no clearly defined goal scorer. We're relying on Roberto Firmino for goals. And if he doesn't fire, well then, we're fucked. We need a striker that fits into the type of football that we play at the moment. Divock Origi isn't that striker, nor is Daniel Sturridge. They don't fit that type of well, maybe Origi does a little bit. He does a little bit more work than Daniel Sturridge does. And Sturridge has started to come into it a little bit more in terms of tracking back. But he doesn't have the legs. And that was proven during the week when somebody came up with statistics to say that his speed in the game has dropped significantly over the last 4 years. He's dropped something like 5 kilometers in average speed in the last 3 years, I think it is. So, player is slowing down, and you can certainly see in terms of his goal returns in the last few years, he just hasn't been up to standard, so he's not the player he was. But I digress. This is not Jurgen Klopp's fault. Yes, he was responsible for the selection today. And just, I suppose, to flesh that out, Gary Lineker came in and gave his 2 cents worth on the FA Cup and said that it was very disrespectful that Liverpool were being disrespectful to the FA Cup by fielding the players that he did today. It took Gary Neville, of all people, to come back and come out in support of Jurgen Klopp today by saying that, what other chance do clubs have to try out young players? And he said that that's how he got his chance in the first team, was through the FA Cup. So, Gary Neville, a lot of people have and I'm one of them, I was never a fan of him when he was a player, but, certainly as a pundit, I respect his opinion, and, he speaks sense there. And the other thing we have to look at too, and I don't know whether, like Gary Lineker, maybe I'm just hoping he's not preempting something else that's going to happen. I remember a situation a few years ago with Peterborough, where they were fined for fielding a weakened team against, I think it was against Chelsea they played, or was it Hull? No, it was Peterborough. I'm just hoping that we're not going to be in a similar situation because we fielded weakened teams. It may look like that we didn't try today. But anyways, look, that's just me. I digress again. Today's performance was shit. Very poor. I was doing the live commentary on our Facebook page today. I wasn't overly active, as I said, because my internet connection is so bad at the moment that I might get 10 minutes of internet and then it disappears for a few minutes and comes back again so. But one of the things that I did notice when I was watching the match was there was a situation with the last, I think it was about 5 minutes to go, and Wolves had just attacked us with a counter-attack, and we had recovered the ball, and 3 of our defenders were within 50 metres of each other, and there was a single, I can't remember who the attacker was at the time, I'm not sure. I think it might have been Bo Vardson, or it could have been Mason. He was the only attacker up front, and he was basically closing down any of our defenders when they got the ball. So these three defenders you had Gomez, Clavin, and I think it was Lucas. And basically the three of them were putting little triangles of passing around as if we were the team trying to hold on to the ball and see out the final minutes as the team that was leading, instead of a team that was fighting for our lives in the competition. I thought, this epitomizes the effort that the team have put in today. And a lot of criticism for the crowd today. I thought it was disgusting to hear boos, but I'm not surprised. Jurgen Klopp has been calling for fans to get behind the team and support them, but how can you get behind a team that's not giving its all? And I think I was sick to hear the boos, but I can kind of understand them at the end of the day. People are annoyed, people are pissed off. 3 defeats in a row at Anfield inside of a week against a team that's 18th in the Championship today, against Southampton on Wednesday night, who were missing their 2 first-choice centre-backs, and they coped admirably with everything that Liverpool threw at them. Today was a carbon copy. All the passing that we did was sidewards and backwards. No penetration, no creativity. Same with Swansea last week. Again, we got caught with counter attacking goals. Southampton the other day, a counter attacking goal. It's there's no excuse. There really is no excuse. And as I said already, it's not fair on the young lads that started today. Like even 19-year-old Conor Randall, you have a 19-year-old Ovie Ejaria, 17-year-old Ben Woodburn, 19-year-old Joe Gomez. Those kids are probably they'll never forget today. That's a big knock to their confidence, to be at the centre of the furore that's going around at the moment about what happened over Liverpool, and it's been front page news. And other fans are coming out and enjoying all of this. But look at the way I'm looking at it now is we've 3 days left to strengthen in this window. The transfer window closes on Tuesday, so we've 3 days to buy. So I think Klopp has said that it's not that we haven't tried to buy players, we have, but the clubs just don't want to sell. I think the reason the clubs don't want to sell is because we're insulting them with stupid lowball offers that aren't sufficient to attract the player. Again, our wage policy is probably another reason. You look at Jose Mourinho. He went to United. He says, I want X, Y, and Z. I want Mkhitaryan. I want Paul Pogba. And I want Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He got the 3 of them. He paid a premium, but he got the 3 of them. We've been shitballing teams for years, offering insulting transfer offers for them and getting knocked back. And it's come out in the press. You had a situation with Konoplyanka, the Russian league that time, where the managing director came out and said that we messed around with offers, we lowballed them up until the last minute, and then we sent through the money late. We had a situation with Alex Teixeira, who went off to who was valued at 31 million. We refused to pay it. In comes a Chinese club, offers the 31 million, off he goes to China. So you tell me where the commitment is. There's no commitment. And the problem does not lie with Klopp. That's the thing, people are jumping to the defence to say that Klopp won't spend, and rightly so. We have money. There's no scenario to say that Liverpool have not got the money. We have the money to compete in the transfer market. It's that the money, there's obviously our director of technical, whatever you call him, he obviously puts value on players and won't go beyond it. He puts his value on them rather than paying the price that the club have. And I know Philip Coutinho signed a contract last week as well, and this is all the good news that's come out. This is one of the things that annoys me. It's just it happens every January now. Our announcements are signings. Joe Gomez signed a new contract yesterday. While it's fantastic to see Joe Gomez tied down to a long-term contract, because I do believe he is going to be one of the best central defenders in the game. He can also play at left back. Philip Coutinho signed a contract last week as well. Also, great news to be announced on the website, but in actual fact, that contract doesn't come into play until July 2017. So, why announce it in January if it's not going to come into effect until 2017? Also, the bus. Liverpool announced the new team coach. I've been a supporter for 37 years. 37 years this year, yeah. And in all my time as a Liverpool supporter, I had no idea what the Liverpool bus. You never heard announcements like that. It just didn't happen. And I know I've gone on a bit of a rant here. Normally I stick to the facts, but it's just this week has annoyed me. We've showed our mentality this week in the fact that this month, in the fact that we've gone from, we were nailed on title challengers 6 weeks ago only to basically we're going to probably be also Rams challenging for fourth place. That's not what I'm used to as a Liverpool fan. If we needed a player, we went out and we got a player. That's what happened. It wasn't until Hicks and Gillette came in that all the shite talking started with. We started buying in quantity and not quality. Similar shit continued under Brendan Rodgers. We just bought players and they were complete and utter rubbish, but we had lots of them. Under Klopp, yeah, that's a lot of the dead wood was gotten rid of, and we made profit in last year's window. But the players that we brought in, some of them have hit the ground running. Sadio Mane has been a revelation, certainly. But the core players are still the players that were there under Brendan Rodgers. It's just that Klopp is getting more out of them. I keep thinking, can you imagine if we had world-class players there and what Jurgen Klopp could get out of them? It's just the mind boggles, but it's been so frustrating being a Liverpool fan over the last 3 weeks. Certainly over the last number of years, but over the last 3 weeks, the way the team has been playing, you take one player out of our team and basically we fall asunder. The good news is that, well, I don't know if it's good news. It might be so good news for Senegal and Sadio Mane, but Senegal have crashed out of the AFCON, the African Cup of Nations, at the quarter-final stage. Sadio Mane missed a crucial penalty to send the team through, so he will be home. And according to FIFA regulations, any international tournament, the national team must release the player from the morning after they exit the tournament. So basically, he is free to leave the African Cup of Nations tomorrow morning, which means that he can probably meet up with the squad Monday. I'm not sure whether he'll be back in time for Chelsea. I'd love to see him start. I really would, because I want us to beat Chelsea and basically hand them their arses. But he'll certainly be back for, I think it's Hull next weekend. So that's my review of the match. I know it's been a little bit more than just a review of the match because I'm pretty pissed off with a lot of the shit that I've been hearing lately over the last few days. I haven't been active doing podcasts for the reasons that I mentioned earlier in the podcast. So I have quite a lot to get off my chest. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play Sean's review of the match, and I'll end the show after that. But what I'll say before I go is please give us a follow on Facebook. It's facebook.com/talklfcpodcast. Follow us on Twitter, again @talklfcpodcast, on Instagram @talklfcpodcast, and give us a follow on Spreaker.com. Hopefully we'll be back doing live podcasts within the coming weeks. As soon as I get my technical issues sorted here, we'll be back in full swing again. We have a couple of exciting guests coming up in February, and we're just trying to finalize the details with them, so stay tuned. We are looking for co-presenters. All you need is a stable Skype connection, and you can certainly help co-hosting the show. Anything that you can contribute, even if you want to call the show when we're doing live shows, if you're on Skype, if you send us your details, we can certainly get you on, and you can air your grievances or comments about the team. So that's pretty much for me. So as I said, follow us on all our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. like us on Spreaker.com, subscribe to us on YouTube and also on iTunes. And thanks for listening.
All right, guys, this is Sean from Talk LFC Podcast, and this is my review of the Liverpool Wolves match in the FA Cup. Well, guys, I don't know really what to say. I have calmed down ever so slightly, not much. I know that the reaction of a lot of our fans is one of dismay, disbelief, whatever other adjective you can possibly use to describe the negative feeling around Anfield right now. There have been 3 or 4 clubs that have beaten Liverpool Football Club with less than 30% of the possession the whole game. You have your Burnley, you have Swansea, and you have Southampton that have done it twice on us. You now have Wolves. Wolves had 20.7% of the possession. Now, I could look at the lineup, I could tear apart some of the players, Randall in particular. I could say that, he wasn't good enough. He came off, obviously, for Coutinho there in the second half. A big game was needed of us today. And opportunities of us winning silverware this season is falling apart big time. I really don't know what to say. 2017 is like the 2016 for celebrities, for Liverpool Football Club. We are just falling apart. And a lot of people are looking for someone to blame. People are saying, well, it's because we don't have Sadio Mane. It's because we don't have signings. What I've noticed over the last couple of games with Liverpool is that our build-up is slow. I mean, some people say it's patient. It's slow. It's sluggish. There's no creativity. There's no one to kind of run into the centre. And create chances in the centre of the box. We are too slow, and then you have the opposition that park the bus because of the fact that we're too slow. We are absolutely too slow going up front. We don't know what to do with the ball. We're running out of ideas, and teams like Wolves, Swansea, Burnley, Southampton, they don't need the majority of possession, and I mean it's been proven. It's been proven in all of those games. They don't need the majority of possession. All they need is to get us on the counter. Now, you can look at the first goal, the free kick from Costa. It was 10 metres from where it actually should have been. You can say, well, Stedman was offside. Where was the fucking defence? Where was the defence? There was no defence. Karius came out like a raving lunatic and just made a hames of it. With regards to their second goal, again, from a counter-attack. And it was game, set and match then. I can't think of your man's name. But then Costa had a chance, had an opportunity then to make it 3-0. I'll be honest with you guys, after the first half, I watched the second half and I was dozing off, and I actually fell asleep. And I've never actually done that watching a football match. I actually fell asleep. Now, Klopp is talking about the fans, turning up, and rightly so. And at one stage, I was saying the same thing. We need to get the fans to spur our team on, to the finish line. There was nothing at Anfield today or a couple of days ago against Southampton that warranted the fans to be excited or to cheer them on. Footballers are entertainers at the end of the day, and they did not entertain. And my real worry, guys, is that we've been found out. That the type of football that we're playing at the moment is not suitable for some of those players. And the players that it does suit have lost all their energy. They're just sluggish, and you have the likes of Coutinho that, you know, is full of ideas, full of creativity, but has the burden of the whole team on his shoulders. Mane's the same. Firmino, you know, there was huge question marks over taking him off for Sturridge. I mean, what did Sturridge give to the game? So, I mean, I really don't know what to make of it, guys. It's a horrible time to be a Liverpool fan. It certainly doesn't do anything for the stress levels. It's just it's horrific. It is absolutely horrific. I wish I could be talking about, you know, us getting through to the next round of the FA Cup. We're now out of the EFL, and we're now out of the FA Cup, and we have a brand new spanking bus and no final to take us to. So guys, let me know what you think, and that's all I got to say about it.
Thank you for listening to Talk LFC Podcast. Be sure to follow us at facebook.com/Talk LFC Podcast and on Twitter at twitter.com/Talk LFC Podcast. Get in touch with us by email at talklfcpodcast@gmail.com or via our website at www.talklfcpodcast.com.